Hello everyone, my name is Paras Jain and I'm a senior solutions architect based out of London, Virginia in AWS. Today I'm going to show you how to use Kiro to create a simple CRUD application within 30 minutes. So let's get started. Before we start, let me show you my setup. I have started with a simple blank directory with nothing in it. I don't have any agent steering or skills, any hooks or specs. So I'm starting fresh with nothing in it. All I have is a prompt. So to save time, I have a prompt which we will use to create the application. So let me paste the prompt here. Here you go. So I'm using spec mode. The idea is that I give a simple prompt to the system and to Kiro, and it is going to create me a spec. And from there on, we will take it forward. So I'm just saying, build me a contact management web application. I need to create, view, edit, and delete contacts. So I'm just building a contact management solution. The contacts will have just name, email, and phone number. They will have some sensible validations, nothing else. They will be served using a REST API with a simple front end, and I'm not using any authentication. For model, I'm using Auto, and I'm going to use Autopilot for my demo. So I'm going to get started by sending this prompt to the spec mode. Let's wait for it to complete. It asks me whether I need to build a feature or fix a bug. I'm building a feature, or this is a new feature or application for that matter. I'm going to select build a feature and submit my answer. Okay, it's working on it. I would ideally want to start with requirements. That's what I like about Kiro's spec-driven development mode. I would say requirements and submit. So it is starting by documenting the requirements, working on it. It will create some config files and other necessary files for it to get started. Okay, it finally created the requirement. Let me read through it. So requirement says that we are building a contact management application that allows us to create, view, and edit and delete contacts with a simple front end. It is defining the glossary of terms, contact, what is contact list, what is an API, front end and validator. Requirement one is I want to create a contact. As a user, I want to create a contact with name, email, and phone number. Simple. What is the acceptance criteria for this requirement? When the user submits a valid name, email, and phone number, the API shall create a new contact and return the created contact with a unique identifier. As I go through the other requirements, I'll see if I like it or if I want to iterate it. If I don't want to make any changes, I can move to the next one. So let me quickly go through the requirement and see if everything makes sense. The requirement two is basically viewing all the contacts. So as a user, I want to view a list of all the contacts so that I can browse my contact information. See if it does not talk about pagination or any complex requirements. I will keep it simple for now. And the acceptance criteria is that when the user requests contact list API, it should return all stored contacts, including the unique identifier, name, email, and phone number. Notice that I did not mention unique identifier in my requirements, but Kiro assumed that there should be some unique ID, and I'm going with it. When I have to see details of a single contact, I should be able to do it. That's what requirement 3 is talking about. And some acceptance criteria, I should be able to edit the contact and I should be able to delete contact. From the design point of view, it says that as a developer, I want the backend to follow REST convention so that API is predictable and easy to integrate with. So it is following the standard conventions of REST API, post for creating, get for retrieving, put for updating, delete for deleting a contact. So straightforward and simple. It is following the convention for error codes, 201 for creation, 200 for success, 404 for not found, etc., etc. For a front end contact display, it says that as a user, I want to see all my contacts in the browser so that I can quickly scan my contact information. So that this is similar to the list criteria, but list criteria is from the backend point of view. This is the front end requirement, and this is the requirement number 8 for the contact form. How does that look like? No captcha, no fancy controls, just a simple form. And the rest of the requirements are around validation and how when they delete, do we need a confirmation so that I don't accidentally delete. So as you can see, based on its knowledge, Kiro suggests some requirements which are not explicitly mentioned by me. So far, I'm liking everything. I can move to the next part of the development by pressing continue. When I press continue, it gives me the option to generate design or generate designs and tasks. For now, I'll just say generate design. I don't want to move to the task yet before I see the design. As soon as I press that, Heroes goes to work and says that let me move to the technical design phase. Let it finish its work and then we'll come back to it. Okay, it has finished the design part. Let's see what it generated. So if you see on the left side, it created a new MD file or markdown file, design.md. Like a good design document, it says what this design is about. It designs this design describes a contact management web application, so on and so forth. It decides it tells what are the technology choices. Let me open this in preview by clicking it in open preview here. Okay, so it has an overview. It has technology choices or what it chose for backend and why. So it chose Node.js with Express in the backend because it is lightweight. It's widely adopted for REST APIs and it is faster to set up. For front end, it is a plain vanilla HTML, JSS, CSS, and JavaScript, keeping it simple. For data store, it is just using the in-memory JavaScript map, and so forth and so on. For testing, it is using test for fast checking. It is for some reason not generating the preview for the architecture diagram. Uh, that is fine. I can see why I have Mermaid plugin. It was updating just before this meeting, so maybe something broke there. But it has a request flow. What are the different components it is planning to write? Uh, all the validation functions. Again, I'm not going too deep in it because we are just demoing the creation of the application in 30 minutes. So, but technically, you can view if the data models or the API formats are not looking the way you want it to look. For example, it is showing some phone numbers in US country code. If you want to change it, if you want to make it flexible or not, you can do that. Okay, I'll stick to what I have right now, and I will just say continue. That means I want to move to the task list. Click on continue, generate tasks, and Kiro goes to work to generate tasks based on our design. Okay, it has finished creating all the tasks for the requirements and the design I had. Just to reiterate, At any point in this requirement generation or design generation, I could have gone back to the requirements which are generated and changed them manually, or I could have asked Hero to change it according to what I like or don't like. I did not do that just to keep things simple, but this is the key aspect of developing with Kiro, that you can iterate over what is generated, and you can make necessary changes. So for now, I have a list of tasks. Let me quickly go through them to see if they make sense. So it is giving the overview again what we are building. The first task is saying that it wants to initialize the project and set up validation, set up shared validation. So if you see on the left right now, the project does not have any files or structure. So that's a good starting place. I agree with what Kiro generated. It is going to implement the validator module. Then there are some optional tasks which are grayed out, writing property test and for email validation, name validation, and all. It is optional. To keep it simple for the demo, I will keep them optional. If you want to make them required, you can click make task required, and it will become the gray out will go and it will become actual text, and then it will actually work on it. Let's see what are the other tasks. Task number 2 was implementing the data layer. It is going to implement the data layer. Then it is going to have a checkpoint to make sure that at this point all the tests pass, and ask the user if questions arise. So that means it is going to ask me if I have any question. It is going to start implementing one requirement at a time. What I would like to do is I usually don't like run all tasks. Technically, you can click on run all tasks, and the Kiro will go and implement all the tasks for you. And if some issues arises, it tries to auto fix. I I like to do one task at a time, and for this demo, I will do the same. I will click on Start Task here. When I click on Start Task, um, it starts working on task number 1, and it says what he's working on or it is working on. So you can see that each of these tasks which are in progress had some subtask. For example, 1.1 had setting up the project structure and dependency. That includes initializing the JSON package.json with type module and installing the dependencies like express, test, fast test, super test, and all those dependencies. So it is working on it. At this point, task 1.1 is completed, and now it is working on 1.2. I would let it complete. And 1.2 includes implementing the validator module, exporting the validate contact data function, implement name validation, email validation, phone validation. I would let it complete. Okay. At this point, task 1 is complete, which includes task 1.1 and 1.2. We are all good there. Actually, I changed my mind. Instead of doing task by task, let me just click on run all tasks, and it should complete the remaining task. Okay. So when I click on run all tasks, it gives me option to run the required task or run required and optional task. I will just say run required tasks, which are the required incomplete tasks. Okay. As soon as I press that, started working on the remaining task. It should start task number 2. Okay. It understood that task 1.2 and 1.2 are complete, and then it is going to start with 2.1. Okay. It queued task number 2. It says, let me queue all of them first. At this point, it is queued. Eventually, it is going to start working on them. I see. It is not only implementing the contact service, it is also doing some tests. I can see on the right that it is creating some tests and actually running those tests. It is finished with implementing the contact service. It's now working on creating an in-memory map as the data store. I just want to call out that this is very basic implementation. The objective is to show how easy to start from a blank slate and implement a application. I have not thought a lot about the usability or security or scalability. So that is something you would do actually in a actual production ready applications. If you want to develop a production app, then you may have to think a little bit more. Sometimes it runs into an issue when it's running a task. Uh, Most of those times it is going to you know identify the issue and do the course correction and try to do the same task in a different way. So it usually does not require your intervention unless it needs your permission, a file permission or permission to trust a command and things like that. We have not encountered that yet, but that is something you need to uh, keep in mind. So it should do 4.1, then 4.2, 5, 6. Task number 7 is the final checkpoint. Okay, it is done with 4.1, working on 4.2. Even if this is a all autopilot and things are working on the background, technically I can leave my desk and come back and it should, if as long as it did not need any permission or confirmation, it should be taking me to a decent place where a lot of things are done. However, I usually try to watch it and see it's making good decisions. At the very least, try to stay in the app and try to review the code it is generating, the requirements one more time. If something needs updating, take a mental note of those. I don't make those changes while it is working on it. But if you stay on the app and the application and requirements, that way you don't have to do the context switching. But theoretically, you can leave your desk and go for a coffee or something when it is working on it. Okay, looks like it is a task number 5 where it is checkpointing and making sure that everything is still passing before it moves on to task number 6, which is implementing the front end. Okay, it is done with task number 5. Moving on to task number 6.1. It is done with 6.1, which was implementing the front end. Now it is doing the front end validation. And then in 6.3, which is the next task, it is going to implement the front end application logic. So we'll wait for it. And task 7 is the final checkpoint where it is going to go through all the test cases and make sure that nothing is breaking or everything is working fine. Okay, first time it is asking for my input for an hex dump command. I'm going to trust it, and I'm just going to trust the full command instead of base command. Okay, at this point, task number 6.2 is done, and it is working on 6.2, which is implementing the front end application logic. Looks like it is running a server in the background, doing a call command to test it. Okay, it has finished all the testing. So I think at this point it is going to move on to the next one. Okay, yeah, it is done with 6.3. The next with 7. It has started working on 7 to do one final sanity check. Just run all the tests again. It's checking for the diagnostics. Okay, it is done with task number 7 also. Now it is spitting out the summary, what it has done. All tasks are complete. It has implemented the backend, which is validator, context service, router, server. And in the front end, it has index.html and everything. All the 16 tests are fine and working. And it says that I can start the app using this command and I can open my local host. So I will ask it to run the server for me. So can you run the node server for me? Let me copy this URL. Okay, let me go to my browser. Should be able to see my browser. Let me go to that server. Okay, as soon as I go here, I see this issue. So I will tell it that it did not come out well. Let me show you what I'm typing. So as soon as I go to this URL, I see pop-up for delete contact and new contact all over each other. Let's see how it reacts to that. Okay, it is working on a fix. It says that it understood the problem, working on a fix. Okay, it added the fix. Let me go to the browser and refresh. Okay, so I see a contact management application, a nice banner on the top. Uh, if there are no contact, it rightly says that no contacts yet. These are all the requirements I did not give explicitly in my prompt. It understood and then it worked on it. So I'm going to create first contact by parasgen1 parasgen1 at test.com, and I'm going to enter a 10-digit phone number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and save it. So it worked out fine. Let me view the details. Back to the test, edit it, make it test1.com, save it, add another contact, parasgen2, parasgen2 at test.com, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, save it. Okay, I can try to see if I can delete it. Let me delete contact number 1. It had a confirmation block, and I'm going to confirm that yes, I want to delete. It's gone. Let's see if it validates the email address and other fields. So parasgen3 paras, and if I to save, it says email is required and should be valid. If I press it paras at test.com and click on save again, so it says email is fine, but the phone number is required and must be 7 to 20 characters containing only these characters. So these are the requirements you could have adjusted. Right now, it is okay if you have plus 1, 2, 3, and then some number, uh, plus, and then some number. It should be able to accept it. From the description of it, looks like it should be able to. Yes, it did. So in today's demo, we talked about how to use Kiro to create a simple CRUD application. You start with a simple prompt and let the Kiro's spec-driven development take command from there, or take charge from there, create a simple CRUD application with common conventions of development and applications, and use sensible defaults to create a application quickly. Thank you very much. See you in the next video.